New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
New York City. Welcome home, Meek Mill. Hot 97, get your tape decks ready.
He's back.
Yo,
I gotta get that button.
we gave ourselves a big congratulations. We played yourself when we heard you was doing wheelies through the city.
Wheelie and bikes never been a crime. It's really a citation, but I was charged with a felony for it. Actually,
Wait, they charged you with a felony for it?
An F1 felony. It's the same thing as when you stab somebody, you get an F1 felony. It's just a different degree of an F1 felony.
And you said in front of police, meaning it had been cool before.
Yeah, I've been riding bikes my whole life. Actually, bike life is like a culture where it's actually bringing. You ever see bike life? When
Yeah,
it's
of
50,
course.
100
Yeah.
bikes at one time. There's no other time you see 50 black young kids from different blocks in different areas, Brooklyn,
Bringing
Queens,
people
Harlem,
together.
at one time. And this is the only thing that's been doing this city to city. And we fight for it. It's almost like skateboarding, really. When you skateboard downtown, they kind of ban that jumping off railings where old ladies walk at.
Yeah, they used to
You
have the
could hurt
stickers when I
somebody.
was a kid called skateboarding is not a crime. We used to put them stickers up.
Yeah, that's basically what bike life is at this level. It's just a motor vehicle. And it never was really labeled as, it should have been a traffic ticket or a citation, not an F1 felony. And I was charged with an F1 felony because I was on parole. And being as though you get charged with F1 felony, no matter if you found guilty or not behind the charge, I got a driving course. I didn't get it. They threw it out, gave me a driving course. I went back to Philly, got sentenced to 2 to 4 years for riding a bike. I don't think nobody in the world deserves to go to jail for riding a bike. You go to
not.
jail for going to jail. I just was in jail with lifers, and you might got to bang it out. You might got to go to war and be in crazy situations. I don't think people, family members.
So wait, so
deserve
is
to go
there
to
a
jail
world?
for stuff like that?
Is there a world in which, because you were on parole,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed to do what you did, but even being on parole, it should still only be a citation. It shouldn't be a parole violation.
It shouldn't be no crime.
It shouldn't be seen as
It was treated like a crime. I was in Dykeman, actually touching the people, like, and that's what it is. Like, the Hove texted me, he was like, yeah, you got to move a little different, but continue to do you because you're touching the people in a certain way. And I understand what he said, like, slow up a little bit. And I thought about it later, like, yo, you go from riding in a Rolls Royce, a car you probably always dreamed of, to getting off, jumping off a bike and riding in the neighborhood. But that was the way I touched people in a way that made people
Made you connect. That was the connection.
Yeah, that was my connection.
The parole violation is written, I guess, to understand. I've never been there.
Yeah.
Any interaction that you have with the police when you're on parole,
Yeah.
is the violation, right?
Is a violation. In Pennsylvania, they got different rules like in different states. Like some states, a technical violation is like interaction with police. It's not a crime. So in some states, you could get 30, like some states work a little better. You get 30 days, 60 days the second time, 90 days the third time. In Pennsylvania, the first time you could get, if I got 8 years of probation, I could get an 8-year sentence just for
So I read an
riding a
article.
motorcycle.
I read an article because your circumstances obviously caused a lot of us to do more research, right?
Yeah.
And to understand and learn.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania as a state has the second highest population of individuals under court supervision in the country.
Yeah.
wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I think it's like 800,000 people or
Yeah.
something, some crazy
Yeah, it's
number.
stupid.
I read that
like
too, yeah.
everybody on probation and like
And what I'm pointing out, not to cut you off, is that's the racket.
yeah.
Right? That's the bail racket. That's the prison pipeline.
So that's how they get it
that's
all
the-
started. Is with the.
That's why, like, the new district attorney, he was a civil rights lawyer before he became a district attorney. He doing stuff like, you get caught with some marijuana, you don't get no bail. You get a subpoena, you come to court. Now, if you run and you don't come to court, then maybe you get locked up and you get a bail. But you don't get a bail for, like, drug addiction type crimes, smoking marijuana, or getting caught with a
Mischief.
couple grams.
The mischief.
Yeah,
That's
you don't
mischief.
get bail, because I've been in jail before. My celly bail was $200. He got 28 months in. I'm like, you wasting taxpayers' money. This guy got locked up with a dime of crack because he was addicted to cocaine, and he got 28 months in on a $200 bail. It costs probably $200 a week to house this guy. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's like, what's the point?
That's the racket.
And
Put
it's
them in a
important to
rehab.
point out the cycle, though, because when I think I read a similar article, Ebro, on about how many how Pennsylvania has the highest amount of people on parole, but the ages are pretty crazy. It's like 15, 16, 17. And Meek, you were 19 when you got caught up, right?
Yeah, I was actually, I think I was 18 or 19. And I was 18. I think I got found guilty when I was 20 or something like that. I'm 31. I've been under supervision my whole life.
Yeah,
Anytime you ever see me almost get in trouble, I probably could have got 10 years for that, really, legally. Like, I had, at this point, I probably still got 6 years of probation right now. I had like a total of 16 years of probation. They could sentence you to whatever your probation is, no matter what. You could get to the last year, and they could sentence you to all that time you had on probation. Even if you did it on the streets clean, they could give it back to you
in years spent afterwards.
In jail time, they could give it back to you, really legally, and that's why the judge like, wow, I'm looking out for you giving a 2 to 4. First of all, we coming from a system where like if you under prison supervision, you're a slave in the Constitution. They said that, right? Was it the 13th?
Yeah, 13th Amendment.
Yeah, you basically a slave. Who to say what is lenient? Like, who to make up the rules that 2 years is lenient?
It's just 2 years.
Even in media, they brainwash to be like, I watch all, and I don't judge anybody for like, yo, he did wrong or stuff like that. But, yo, they gave me 2 to 4 years for actually popping a wheelie on the bike. In the white community, they value themselves. They ain't letting nobody go to jail for no 2 years. I know Jewish people, they like, they can't even believe I went to jail got a 2-year sentence for not committing crime.
But a lot of that is obviously participation in the system, money, right,
for sure,
and banding together as a community and refusing to tolerate certain things, whether it be from the government, whether it be from citizens of the community. You know what I mean? Like, there's a community fabric that I believe that black folks, we don't necessarily exercise our power. And that's one of the things I love with what you're doing is you're changing culture and creating a conversation using the power at your disposal, right? But also helping other young people and bringing a light to, because I'm sure there's how many black men and brown men in jail with circumstances like yours.
We used to meet up in the yard if we had the same judge. Them guys had worse sentences than me. I missed seeing my PO officer. I showed up a day late. They gave me 3 to 6 years. Now you gotta think about that. You showed up a day late. Like, you just not good. Most of these people are not even responsible. They've been in jail most of their life. They're not responsible.
Well, and if you have a job, let's say you have a job and they say you gotta come in, you gotta skip your job.
Yeah, I've been in that position before. I've been in Los Angeles and the PO like, be here by 6 in the morning. You got a warrant out. Now I gotta get a jet. I can afford it, but I really can't afford it just to wake up and spend a bunch of money on a plane to get to see my PO 6 in the morning.
And it must have affected you when you're in jail with these people and you know that there's a whole thing going on outside around you because so many people love you. The random cat who's catching 3 to 6 years because he was a day late, he doesn't have the whole world fighting to get him out.
He's done, basically, but he not really done at this point. Like, I had a press conference with the governor the other day in Philadelphia where he introduced a package of changing 8 laws because he was woke up from my situation, and a lot of people are starting to see what's really going on. And when you see powerful people, it's a difference too. Like, I've been in prison before over more stupid stuff than this, like traveling to New York to do an interview. Like, I got locked. My first time I got put on high risk probation, I went to 106 Park. It was Sandy. My album came out 2012 October.
Oh yeah, I remember you called us that day too.
Yeah, I had to like do call, and I couldn't do media.
Yeah.
So it was Sandy. I couldn't fly out of New York because the airport was closed in New York. I had to drive back to Philadelphia and catch a private plane to go to Atlanta. I forgot to call my PO and tell them that I came from New York. I had my flights booked in New York. The airport was closed. I went to Philly to catch a private plane. I had documents that I booked a flight in New York. I was on TV in New York. I came back, and on the way back, I got pulled over by a police officer. The first thing corrupt cops, the first thing they do is when they want to pull you out the car, what do they say they smell?
Weed.
Y'all probably seen me a lot of times. I've been on probation for 11 years. I never had a dirty urine for weed. I never smoked weed.
You come up here all the time, and we know the difference between artists that smell like weed and don't. You don't ever smell like weed.
Yeah, once you smoke weed, you smoke weed. You smoke as soon as you get up early in the morning. You smoke it before you go to sleep. There's no really hiding. And we got like rules going on. I'm like the money maker in my squad. Ain't no riding in the car with me smoking weed. If you want to smoke weed, we got a sprinter right behind y'all for y'all to do whatever.
Right. Not in your car. Right.
Never. I'm never at risk with my friends, and we don't play like that. Took me out the car. Basically alleged me of smelling drugs in the car, locked me up, held me, detained me, took pictures of me while I'm in custody with cuffs on. I got on Puma at the time. I'm making the people that endorse me look bad. A picture on the internet, me cuffed with a Puma hoodie going. Never charged with nothing. Missed my show, missed my plane. I sued. I want my money. I lost like $200,000. I sued, went to court. My word against the cop word, I lost. The judge put me on high risk probation, like where I had to see my PO every week and just clamped down on me. She gave me a new probation officer, which was a domestic violence probation officer. I never had a domestic violence case. I'm like, I got a gun and drug case that I allegedly did, and I got a high risk probation officer for domestic violence where she like pop up at your house anytime. She talk to you crazy. I'm like, why is it like this? And it just kept building up and building up. And I definitely could have moved certain ways just to alleviate the whole situation. But, you know, I was 22, 23 at the time. I just got signed as a rapper. I'm making a lot of money. I'm traveling. Like, my head not really totally on the way it is at 31. You know what I'm saying?
Things change, man. It's a great space to see you in right now.
When you were locked up, how did you feel about all the love that you were getting? I mean, you had Beyonce yelling, "Free me."
Yeah, I was overwhelmed by that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because a lot of people got family members and friends in prison and stuff like that. They continued to scream "Free Meek" and support what I had going on. And Beyonce's thing, that was like unreal. I was like in a cell, like, what? I'm in a cell by myself, talking to myself. No, she ain't just say no shit like that. Listen to it again, I'm like, oh, this real. And I mean, I'm calling home. Chick showing me extra love. Shout out to B.
Beyonce shout out.
That call was on 1 million. They never missed a call since. They was showing love already, a little fish.
But different.
But yeah, Beyonce, like, it was different. I was telling chicks, damn, Beyonce said "Free Meek" before you. That was a part of my whole thing. Hey, you don't got no love for me, huh, shorty? Beyonce said "Free Meek." You ain't even say "Free Meek." What's going on? Hey.
Did you and did Nicki reach out while you was in there?
No, I ain't talked to her while I was in there. I was on. You can't call me. I gotta call you.
Right.
Oh,
That's the only way. No.
Did as far as like rich people, you know, you got Beyonce and her profile showing you love, but then we hear the co-owner of the Sixers.
Yeah.
That's a real relationship between y'all, or he was?
Yeah, that ain't like no. Like,
that's not like a publicity thing to just sell tickets.
No, that's different.
You guys had a relationship before this?
Yeah,
or?
of course.
Okay,
I've been
okay.
knowing Mike for like 5-6 years. Like I play with his daughter in his house. He come to, like, I might have a birthday party in my family hood.
Mike showing up.
He up in there by himself.
Really?
Of course, he's the only billionaire in the whole area. In the house with my aunts, uncles, grandma, a bunch of kids running around. He's definitely in the building. He ain't missed none of my birthdays. I ain't missed none of his. But this level coming up, this new thing that went on with my case, he stepped up for me like in a major way that, just a way that I never really got that type of love from people. You know what I'm saying?
But it's different.
He even asked me one time, like, yo, where everybody else at, man? Where's the other rich people at that you know that you've been in the game with? And the only person I really could say was Jigga and Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Of course, Rose was always there if I ever asked or needed anything. But Jigga was like, well, what's up? I don't know. The bills was like $7 million or something like that. Meek Mill couldn't pay them bills right there. That was different.
Right.
Jigga was there 100%. And even when I texted, I'm like, saying thank you is almost like disrespect. You didn't have to step up. You didn't have to put your name on the line for me. Nor did Michael Rubin, Robert Kraft, any of the people that spoke up. These are like public figures, powerful people where they putting their name on the line for something. And I could have got right back out and went to Aces or whatever strip club it is and made it rain, did a walkthrough, made some money. I'm like, no, let me get out and address the situation at hand and shed light to what was going on.
When did you feel it start to change?
Can I get a napkin, huh?
When did you feel it? We need a napkin for Meek Mill. When did you feel the energy start to change? Like this was, when did it go from something where
last
like
year when
this
I
is
did
this is a piece of
that's
paper.
Cool. Last year when I did an interview here, I don't know if you could tell I was changing a little bit. I was like in a great space for real.
No, but when did
we specifically talked to you about the work that you was trying to do at that time?
Yeah, it wasn't planned. It wasn't because I ain't have to go to court at that time. I ain't have nothing really going on.
And you was talking about your opioid addiction at that time and what you was dealing with, you know, and
because I overcame it in January and got violated for it in November. I went to rehabilitation, everything. What was the point of? Well, it's always a point because I wanted to not be on drugs, but as far as probation, like my probation officer put me in rehabilitation in January. I never seen a drug since January. I got violated for it in November. I'm doing great. I'm actually running around doing a promotional tour to younger guys, really telling them interview to interview, that ain't really cool, and that ain't how we came up in the hip hop community, in the urban community. We never came up using drugs. We seen what drugs did to family members and friends, moms, and stuff like that. So we knew better, really.
It's interesting that you say that because, like, we used to say, like, yo, when people did crack, we were like, ugh, crackhead. But now, the younger the kids, they glorify it completely.
Yeah.
They think it's so normal.
Man, we made fun of it a lot up here. We would call y'all fiends, man. I would be on air all the time like, yo, being a fiend was never cool in the hood.
Yeah, no, that's real deal. Like, if I ran in court, one of my aunts or uncles, somebody smoking crack, I would, like, tell them I lost respect for you. Like, stuff like that. It was always, like, I looked down on it, and then when I ended up in that position, I'm like, I can't say nothing because it's crack and this is a perk. It's all the same thing. The only thing I would say is different that doesn't harm your body is like marijuana. When you get to opioids, whatever Molly is, what drug is Molly? I don't know.
MDMA.
Benzo. When you get to these levels, you get into these hardcore drugs. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no lean.
It's heroin, basically.
It's heroin in a pill. Lean is heroin in a bottle. You basically on dope, basically. And when you don't take it, your body breaks down the same way a heroin addict breaks down. I don't know anything that was ever cool about that. And first chance I got to get that away from me, I got that away from me. And that was always a battle of mine because I came up being a hustler. When I got locked up with the braids and stuff like that, I seen with drugs. My aunt died from heroin, you know what I'm saying, when I was 8 years old. My family ain't even tell us what happened. They just said she got sick. Then when I turned like 13 and 14, I found out that my aunt died from heroin. It was my favorite cousin, my favorite aunt. It was his mom, my favorite cousin mom, and that was like a big thing to us. Like I remember kissing her on the forehead in that casket. Her forehead felt like it was frozen. That's the first time I felt that. I'm a little kid. I remember that forever. So I was like, I never sell heroin to nobody growing up in the trenches, even if I ain't have a dollar in my pocket. I'm like, I ain't selling heroin to nobody, mom. So the pill was the same thing as heroin in a pill, basically, pill form. And you know, that was a battle that I went through on to the next stage, but I was still violated for it. You know what I'm saying? I got my medicine. They gave me medicine, cured me, but they like, no, we're going to give you some more medicine. We're going to put you in jail.
Right, you got to take this pill.
Rosenberg, you was pointing out, wondering when the tide started to change, when the energy started to change around him getting out this time.
that too. Like, what was the energy like when you were in jail, right?
Yeah.
At the moment for me, I guess that it started getting to a fever pitch was probably the Super Bowl, right? When the song played at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
To me, that's when I noticed it. Like, whoa, it seems like people are starting to really pay attention. When did you feel the momentum changing while you were in jail? Like, damn, there's people are really starting to rally around
When
me.
I seen Jay-Z say something about it in public, like on 3-4 platforms, like he ain't letting it go. I think it was when he was performing in Houston at his show. That was like big news for me and him. I'm like, what? Jay is talking about this at his show? That was, for me, that was the first turning point when I seen Jigga like, yo, man, we going to jail for stuff like this now for years, you know what I'm saying? And I thought just a person like him with influence stepping up and saying something out loud first was like big to me. And I always assume, I make this clear now, if this ever happened to like somebody in the hip hop community and they ain't get locked up for that third gun, it's like, you know, sometimes dudes are assholes and they just got locked up for some real shit that nobody can say and do anything for, you know what I'm saying? This happened to anybody. You could count on however many followers I got or whatever platform I got. I'm going to speak out. I don't even got like
any petty mischief like that.
Yeah, like people
ridiculous.
Getting kidnapped from their family about petty stuff. I'm speaking out regardless, 100% sure. It's no, even Colin Kaepernick spoke up for me a lot. But before I ever even knew him, before I ever spoke to him, you could always go back to my Instagram and slide down and see I was in support. Like, I actually wanted to say certain stuff about Colin Kaepernick, but it was the year 2017 when, like, you know, let me stop saying anything because, you know what I'm saying, you get yourself in trouble.
You had a target on your back already.
Well, it's interesting you say that, right? Because there's just two things I would love to unpack with you coming up. One, that fear you just talked about of being on probation since you was 19 years old and feeling like you're a target. Yeah. And you're being used to make an example. I want to talk about that. And then, you know, I want to talk about, you know, you spoke of your friend, the co-owner of the Sixers, Mike,
Yeah.
And,
Ruben,
and Robert Kraft coming to visit you, right?
Yeah.
And I want to talk because I know a lot of people felt like you're being used as a way for it to look like they care about what's going on.
Nah.
And it was great to hear you say that Mike is a real friend.
You're really like on some like regular, like I make a lot of money. I do my thing, but if like I'm right here, and this could be 4 years ago. Yo, give me 250,000, such and such, so I could do. It's like not even a question. Like that's how I met him. He was doing that with me. I'm like, yo, what type of guy is this?
And the fact that he was present though in court, like you said, like he actually came.
Like coming to my birthday 3 years ago has nothing to do with somebody.
He wasn't the random.
Why? Because they're white and they're billionaires. You understand? Like the first time I was on an airplane with Robert Kraft, we talked about Colin Kaepernick. Like I'm bringing up type conversation. Like I'm stepping out of past my boundaries, just talking about what I want to talk about. I'm telling them like, yo, damn, I thought you probably was really.
No, and the sad part is it is because they're white.
Yeah.
It is because they're white and rich. And we have, too frequently, and we talked about it off the air, too frequently we get caught into a place where we assume because we come from certain circumstances, and we have seen trickery.
Yeah.
And we have seen evil people who look just like them. But on the other side, you have white supremacists and racists that assume that all black people are the same.
And think about this. My guy caught so much slack for supporting me. He a sports team owner. He's a billionaire. He's worth billions. He caught so much slack just for even like, all his friends told me like, no, we thought he was crazy. Telling you, my friends thought I was crazy. He called me 4 times a day. Yo, you going to Miami tomorrow? Just try not to go out. Try not to do anything too much until you get this off your back, till you go back to court. And we figure things out. Like, he really, like, taking the time to, like, try to help build me. I don't know, understand, what can he do? What is the plan? Is it Illuminati or something? Like, what?
No, I don't think it's that deep. I think people, like, even myself, man, I look at it like, okay, is this genuine? And it's good to hear you say you feel it's genuine. Or is this to sell tickets to the community in Philly? Or is this to make the NFL look like they care? You know what I'm saying?
But it should be noted, I just want to say this because I feel like my community, I feel like the Jewish community sometimes takes a lot of unnecessary heat. There is a major part of Judaism that is about just sort of random charity. So like you do meet, as much as we see images of bad people, you meet random rich Jews who just sort of take interest in things, and that goes back to the civil rights movement, to a lot of things. That's
we
been there
talk
a long
about
time.
stuff like this too. We talk about like, I'm sitting here with Kraft like, damn, I'm telling them like, what happened? I'm like, he was like, a white judge did this to you? You thought somebody white did this to me? Like, I'm like, no, a black lady did this to you. And that took us all the way back history, and we start talking real history. It was like, yo, we was a part of the Holocaust years ago, and we stick together. We stick together at this point. And I'm like, in our situation, it's a little bit different with some of our people. We got like
skinfolk and kinfolk.
We got a self-hate disease going on that is just like some real stuff, and we talking about different type of stuff and like going deep. And my thing is, what's going to happen when Meek Mill come back with a $100 million foundation talking about justice reform from the Jewish community? Some guys that's really spending. What happened then? Is it a trick, or is it one hand wash the other? What is it?
Well, it's collaboration.
Yeah,
and it's going to be tough to deal with.
Is it wrong? Because my
situation,
it's not wrong.
My situation, them stepping up for me saved probably how many people? 108 people got back in court off of this one cop already. That was a secret. That cop been dirty for 10 years.
And now, and just so everybody knows, the original arrest that you got in for, we talked about this on the radio, sounds so bizarre. It sounds like something out of a movie. And I didn't know it until this most current situation.
They was black too. That's why I don't do the color thing or the back and forth of, I judge people. If you racist, I'm going to judge you like you racist. If that's you. And if your family, you was brought up like that, that's you. If you got self-hate in you, I'm going to judge you like you got self-hate up in you if you my color. This was a whole situation. They could have ruined my life. This judge, this cop, ain't not one time one of them think like, man, this guy's doing good with himself. Because even when I got locked up, I was like the up-and-coming rapper in Philadelphia.
So you're 19 years old. And
so what happened? Take us through that day, the first time.
I came out the house, and actually, I did have a gun on me, and it was real deal life. Like a lot of people.
Keep going.
A lot of people, what type of music is that?
Our board just randomly started playing.
Yeah.
So you come out of the house and you did have a gun on you. Why'd you have a gun on you?
I come from a ruthless environment.
So you just had a gun for protection.
If we had like Google right here, it's like a map you pull up and it'd be like homicide rate for 2007, and they got like a red dot where someone was killed on every part of the map. It's red dots all over the map besides the suburban area, and we can't afford to live in a suburban area. It's like a war zone. It's like I don't even regret carrying a gun at this time. Like right now, for me to carry a gun, I would be stupid. I'm not in dangerous environments. I'm in a dangerous environment, like where you walk in your house at nighttime, you try to run and get in the door like Jason is down the street most of the times at nighttime. That's how people live. And we thought that was normal to come out the house and be like...
All right, so you kept it. So you had something on you just to protect yourself.
Yeah, the cops turned the corner, boom. Jumped out the car, police. Gun on the floor, tackle, cuffs put on me, handcuff marks still on my wrist, cuffs tight, bleeding, slave type material. Took me in the house. I don't know if any of y'all seen Dateline. They got the pictures of like a bunch of blood. There's blood on the ceiling. How did blood get on the ceiling? You understand what I'm saying? They beat me, knocked me unconscious like 3-4 times, ripped the braid out my head. I went to the police station. I was charged with like 40 charges. 2 years went by. I got in court. The cop was dropping tears in there. This was like I couldn't believe what was going on. I'm like, yo, this a black dude. He like 34 at the time. And this twisted my whole mind. I'm like, yo, this dude really in here crying, talking about I chased him down with a gun. This a drug raid. Like a drug raid is this many cops in the room. I mean, coming up.
And so they run up on you in a drug raid, and then they go to court and say that you chased them?
Yeah, like basically I chased him around the car, and he had to duck for his life. It's a drug raid is when cops come all at one time. When they come, their firearms are drawn. It ain't like they got to reach. No, they are drawn, and it's like 10 of them. I would have reached for it. I told Lester Hard, he said, did you point a firearm? I said, that's like a disrespectful question, knowing that all these young kids was killed for reaching for cell phones. You basically putting them in question times 10. You know what I'm saying? Even asking me a question like that. Pointing a gun at a police officer, not a shot fired, nobody hurt. When did you hear that in life? Like, you should be speaking up.
And that's why I said when I read about it, I was like, this is like a fiction movie.
Well, yeah, it's impossible.
Where one kid, right, at 19 years old,
decided to go Rambo on 10 police officers. It's an insane story.
At nighttime, and I'm in the courtroom, the DA like, he's trying to protect the drug operation. I'm like, how can you protect the drug operation when you would get shot 52 times? We knew this since we were like 8 years old. The first game you play as a kid in the ghetto, do y'all know the first game you learn to play?
Cops and robbers.
Cops and robbers. You understand, you learn what is going on with the police. They will kill you. That's not even a second thought. And I'm telling the judge, I said it on court documents, transcribed. Your Honor, I'm not suicidal. I don't want to die. Why would I point a gun at a cop? So years later, I'm doing a CD signing. I'm a rapper. They got cops flooded and around the whole thing. I was in Tower Records. One cop on the left, one cop on the right of the table. I do every autograph. I was there for like 3 hours, and I looked up. That's one of the dudes that locked me up, so I ain't say nothing. I ended up doing my autographs, and when it got done, they had cops escort me out the back. And when we got to the back, it was like captains and sergeants back there. They all was in a group. And I just put the ball on the spot. I'm like, don't you ever effing do no like that again. He like, what? Do what? I said, y'all was in court saying I pointed a gun at you. I was 19 years old, man. Y'all could have ruined my whole life, and just like start spazzing out on him in front of everybody. So he like, come on, don't put me on the spot like this. All the other cops laughing. I'm like, it ain't funny though. I'm like, don't be doing that with no little kids. Y'all in the courtroom dropping tears talking about I pointed a firearm at y'all. Come on, man, stop playing. Y'all living like that? Even when I got locked up on a dirt bike, I was at the police station up there in Indictment. It was some black cops in there, like just standing there looking like this ain't right for real. I ain't get locked up on no dirt bike. They see me on Instagram.
They got you the next day. It was the next day.
Yeah, but they got me seeing me on Instagram. It wasn't really a report filed. That was a call. Something happened at that point. Nobody really paying attention. But I was back there in the police station like, y'all gotta feel embarrassed. I'm coming to our community to touch the kids. I'm actually here, not going. I don't got no dudes with guns with me at the playground with these kids playing basketball. All the businesses, they selling water, ice, pretzels, chicken. We buying everything out. We supporting what they got going on. I'm telling the cops like, y'all should be embarrassed. Y'all letting them just do this to me. I'm coming here to touch y'all kids personally, a place where people don't really come unless they come in here for a look. Come on, man. Y'all gotta feel some. They just was standing there quiet, not saying nothing. They wasn't saying nothing because they really knew it was wrong. And I just was thinking like, how did you guys get in this self-hate, this
because a lot of cops didn't want to be cops. A lot of cops didn't want to be cops, and now that they see a young black man doing well, they're jealous. It's called hate.
But they coming around these white people and trying to impress them. That's what I be trying to break down. I don't have to go around Mike or one of them guys and try to protect them. If I got my homie from he in the hood every day, he do him. If I got him and we getting on a jet somewhere, I don't gotta leave my friend. Oh no, you can't come around these type guys. I don't gotta talk a certain way. I act like me. If I want to address a situation, if I want to do anything, I could take the lead to do that. I know rich dudes in the industry that they never did nothing for me. I did all types of things to drive them money and stuff like that. They probably said free Meek Mill one time. If that was their situation or they kids growing up, I probably would have stepped up 10 times stronger. But he happened to just be white. You can't just, you understand what I'm saying? That kind of upset me a little bit when people just make that kind of like the narrative.
Well, yeah, they right away a narrative that came out, and we should get to the night that you got out because it was an amazing night to watch unfold. The word was you were getting out. The Sixers game was that night. I was on Sports Talk Radio at the time, and we're like,
of course they're gonna capitalize. If you think about Instagram, social media with like rappers and stuff like that, everybody is trying to capitalize off of a moment. That's just business, period. I'm talking about besides that. Like if I'm in prison right now and I say, yo, my son need to go to college while I'm in prison, I can't contact my bank from prison and do the right proper business the way I need to do it. Can you do that? It's not even going to be a second thought. Yeah, he will take him to prison. I mean, he will take him to college his own self. He will drive or get a driver. He would do it. It ain't about what everybody making it about. And I salute them for that because
but it's great
we
to hear
don't
that.
Get support like that. I was telling them, everybody think he might get in trouble. I'm like, yo, I made it this far without support from people and like growing up in a single parent home with just my mom. You get a good report card, mom pat you on the back. Hopefully you might get some Jordans at the end of the month, and that's it. You don't never hear you did a good job. Now we got people really standing behind me and I ain't just talking about them. I'm talking about Jigga, Kevin Hart, Rock Nation. Really, who was the campaign based on? I would say a few sports players, and I salute Kevin Hart, T.I., Rick Ross, Jay-Z, Beyonce was major. Who else really?
Those are the names I would think of. Michael Rubin, those are the names that all come to mind.
It wasn't really like, I got the billionaire side going harder than some of the people in the business that we're really in. Nobody really, people I've really been knowing for 10 years plus. People I really did favors for. And I don't hold anything against them for it, but don't make that the situation, because where we come from, everything cutthroat. Y'all know the business, dude. These niggas signing people to contracts, raping these little kids, taking all their money, taking all their publishing. Yeah, how dare you just say make black and white? I don't care about no color.
Did you hear from any of your previous label people? Like any of the people at the major labels you were on? Like obviously you talked to MMG, but within that you were also signed
Kaiser,
to labels.
Julie, I talked to Kai, but I wasn't calling them. I was worrying about I talked to Kaiser in prison, but I wasn't really calling them. I wasn't calling worrying about business and things like that. I talked to Dollars. Dollars wasn't A&R that worked with me, so we spent a lot of time in studio. We built a relationship, so I would call them here and there and just bust it up. But I was working on Freedom, and now that I'm back out, I'm on the streets. Everybody like, yo, when you get in the studio, I'm just extending my hand back out because a lot of people scream free Meek Mill, and supporters came up, regular people that's going through struggles on a daily basis that have family members going through these same struggles. I'm just reaching my hand back out. I could have came out and did something totally different. I know how to, like, my brand was motivate, show these kids
dreams and nightmares,
but
man.
Look, show kids the money and things like that. It catches their attention. I just wanted to do something different this time, take leadership, and I don't be wanting people to think like, I was watching something with Tupac. He said, I'm a real model, not a role model. A role is a role. I want people to know I'm doing what I'm doing. This is how I'm carrying it. This is real. Yeah, this is how I'm carrying it. I don't know. I can't tell you what nobody else's intentions is, but this is what I'm doing, and this is the trampoline.
Are you familiar with the movement that helped elect the new district attorney in Philadelphia? Because there's a real...
that's a serious issue, and like I never thought I'd be on a camera and be like, I support this DA. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. But no, I was in jail with real lifers. He's against the death penalty. I'm in there with guys that got the death penalty, guys that who you think these people on the streets, who they think they look up to and they think they emulating, but these guys, like, we support this guy because he trying to stop mass incarceration. He ain't saying nobody shouldn't go to jail. He ain't saying, all right, like, if you shoot 4 little girls or you shoot somebody and kill somebody and some dumb stuff happen, you go to jail, that's God. That's your battle you got to fight. They're your choices that you made. It's nothing some people can do at certain times, but trying to stop mass incarceration is a total different issue.
And that's about the traps that are around the poor neighborhoods, getting kids pinched on mischief and things that normal kids would be doing, getting them in the system early. Like what happened to you. You're in the system early, so for the next now 11 years. Or something
at 30, like, yo, you popped the willie. No, you going back to prison. And you got to think about it. We call a guy in jail, like, man, this lady is a slave chaser. You a dream chaser. I was like, what you mean? He said, man, you tried to run from the plantation and you ran 30, 40 miles. You got far away. And like far as like the rap business. I got away from the ghetto, going in and out of prison. He said, she chased you down so far, y'all could have both got away from the plantation, but she grabbed you and dragged you back. And that's been slavery all our lives, where they would have a black person guarding the other black people with the gun while y'all working in the field. And it's making me hate other black people, because it's like,
that's where the self-hate started.
It's been coming a long time. And
it was programmed.
It's a program, basically, and nobody don't really understand it because people just touching the surface. I'm like, if this was Lindsay Lohan, what you think? What she had? How many dirty yarns? Is that the one that was using drugs?
Lindsay had a lot.
She had probably, what, 30 dirty yarns or something like that? 2 to 4 years? What? You think they send her?
Do you think that lady, is the judge, is she just obsessed with you, though?
I don't know what she is. I don't know what this is. I don't understand stuff like that. I'm not taking people away from their children.
But at this point, it looks like a pride thing, though.
Nah, son. I have my own opinion on some of these judges with regard to how they get paid and how they get bonus and doing favors. And, you know, when you can isolate young people in a specific zip code, in a specific zone, and criminalize them over generations, you're feeding that pipeline and that behavior, right? You're keeping these people okay. It becomes normal for family member upon family member and generation upon generation to interact with cops a certain way.
But what's the incentive for the judge herself?
It goes back to the prison pipeline and the bonuses and all of and them staying in power.
Like,
and
so actual financial incentives to put in kids in jail?
Yes. And it may not be in their salary. It might not come in form of salary, but it may come in other forms of payment that allow them to move a certain way in society because they're doing this bidding on behalf of somebody that financially benefits on keeping these kids trapped.
And then too, I believe though, like in my neighborhood, I have a power of influence over a certain type of group of people, like with like children that's growing up, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's a power that you can't get going to school. It's a power you can't get. It's a power you can't get from being a lawyer maybe, or a judge, a doctor. It's just something that God has given me. I use my talent and certain people looking up to me a certain way. We get punished different when you like,
because they don't want what you represent to be powerful.
Yeah, seriously.
They don't want what you represent and where you come from to be made like I could do it too. They want actually what you represent and where you come from to be something that people are ashamed of.
Yeah, and they make it like it's supposed to be shamed. I'm like, I was in court and I was like, Your Honor, I ain't have any dirty piss tests. What? You said piss in my courtroom? The correct word is urine. I'm sending you to etiquette class. I'm like, you had that in your head already. How did you just, you understand what I'm saying? I said one wrong word and she was like, I'm sending you to etiquette class 10 seconds later. I'm like, this is already set in your head. I go to etiquette class. It costs $10,000. You got me holding my fork. Then I come back. I want you to be big as Jay-Z. I want you to be able to sit at a dinner with Obama. And I'm like, the people that you think you're trying to impress, or you trying to get me to impress, they're not feeling you. They're not feeling anything about what you're doing. I've been going to...
So it sounds like in some ways what you're saying is she thought she was your mom.
Yeah, like it was kind of like that type of situation, because
she was trying to be some sort of disciplinarian parent to you.
Yeah, and trying to make me go the route of the, like, where she wanted me to go. I'm like, yo, this is a whole different era. Even with the kids, I don't really agree with the tattoos and some of the stuff they do, but I don't judge them. I don't try to make, I'm not rapping and like, y'all guys are whack, and y'all gotta rap like this, y'all don't got lyrics. I was in jail banging that stuff too on a daily basis. I'm not judging because I have no control over it. It's a different area. I mean, it's a different era, and I have no control over that. So I'm like, you trying to make me impress a certain group of people. I'm like, miss, I live next to these people you're talking about. At the time, I'm living in Beverly Hills. You taking me to edit. I eat with these people 7 days a week. I know how to hold my fork, and I hold my fork the way I want to. I don't believe in talking a certain way. I talk the way I was raised to talk. I think you should be educated and know how to talk in certain situations. If
it's called code switching. It's the ability to code switch.
Yeah, if you in a certain room with people,
and that's your prerogative if you want to do.
If you want people to understand you the way you want them to understand you, but man, I used the word piss, and I'm sorry I used this in your cut wrong. This is what it is. I
wanted to ask you, at what point in throughout all of this did you find out that the initial cop that arrested you was on the corruption list?
In prison. In the newspaper, the public defender's office was kind of like playing a big role too, because they got 300 clients that was locked up by one officer, another 300, 200. So it probably was like thousands of people. It was a list of 26 cops. So the public defender's office, the guy, he's a black, Brad Bridges, he got about probably 1,000 people in jail with corruption. Cops testified against him. So it came out in the newspaper that a lot of cases going to get back in court. You know what I mean? It was like, that's like the luckiest thing I could have got at this point, having a corrupt cop on my case, because she was really fighting to keep me in jail. She's like, this is right. And they got her brain on it. This is right. Technical violations, you go to state prison. Like in state prison full of lifers, I'm in a yard. Now I got to switch my whole mind frame. I'm in a yard, 200-300 people. Now it's wild jungle time. You know what I'm saying? Like this the jungle for real. I go from
You're in there watching your back.
Yeah, it's serious. You know what I'm saying? And it's lifers and it's probation violators.
Then me, I popped a wheelie.
Yeah, I got the worst.
Hi everyone.
Yeah, basically. People don't even want to hear me talk about my case. What? You
popped a wheelie?
Man, you out of here, man. They ain't keeping you in jail. You a public figure. You do a lot of. I do charity in my neighborhood, and one thing somebody always told me, I used to do charity and be like, don't call the news. I always thought that was like you wouldn't get your blessing from God if you was about to do something for a homeless shelter and you called the news to catch you walking out and do a statement. But really, you have to protect yourself and make it known of what you're doing, because they try to, like I went to court for a bail hearing, a threat to the community and a flight risk. That really offended me. And she said, I don't take care of my son. Like that stuff was like, I'm like, you're creating a narrative to mainstream America that another young black man, somebody who risen above the ghetto and employed people. I'm not an angel. I still come from the wild. I'm tamed. I have sense now. I seen the world. I changed my life. And I'm still not perfect. But a threat to the community, you just took this to a whole nother level. Like, it's a black woman called a black young man a threat to the community. Like, if Adam Silver called an NBA player a threat to the organization, this would be like one of the biggest media platforms for people to air him out times 1,000. I'm like, why would you say that? You understand what I'm saying? Like, why you think I'm going to go on a run? Anybody in this room think I'm going to go on a run if I was out on bail? I'm out on bail now.
Run where? You're Meek Mill.
For what, though? Why would I risk and jeopardize the rest of my life and my career and my family to go on a run for a case that happened? I don't even think this will play out where I have to go back to jail. Hopefully I won't. But why would I go on the run? Why would you label? I don't take care of my son. But also, how
have you ever shown yourself to be a risk? Period. No offense, I'm not trying to say you soft.
Yeah, at this point,
I'm sorry.
A threat to the community is not being in the airport, somebody swinging on somebody I'm with, and I'm
right,
neutralizing that person. You not in St. Louis. You have the right. If we walking through the airport, somebody jump on you, I have the right to stop them from jumping on you any way I can. That's a law in St. Louis. You have the right for
self-defense. Family defense.
Yeah, family defense. It's like, it's not a threat to the community. It's been 11 years. Robert Williams, not Meek Mill, Robert Williams has not been back in the system. And the first time I've been back to the system for a case was popping a Willie. The airport situation was not a charge. It was a citation. I didn't even have to appear in court, and it was released. I got relieved from it because the airport They have camera footage. They're like, yo, really, I could have sued the airline. Like, yo, y'all guy came over here.
Yeah, because he worked for the airport.
He came over here making some real noise because we didn't want to take a picture. I'm like, man, I landed in St. Louis. I'm going to work. I land at the airport. I walk through. I'm being followed the whole way, getting cussed out by this dude. You know, all right, you talking crazy to us. What I look like, I'm a giant. I value myself. I feel like I'm a giant. I got bigger things going on. I'm not arguing with an ant. You arguing with me about a picture. You acting like you want to get into a situation. I leave. I come back 8 in the morning. I do my show, go to my after party. It's 4 or 5 in the morning. Stay up all night. My flight at 6, 7. I'm working hard, extremely hard. Come back to the airport. Who at the front of the door?
Same dude.
This dude. He posted. So one of my youngins like, yo, chill out, man. Like, let us do our thing. You wait for. It's on. He made a move. What do you do at this point? Well, you shouldn't have done. I'm like, yo, I got my little bro with me. My little bro. I don't know if y'all follow me. And this is why I value myself. I think I'm a hero in my world. My little bro, his name Chino. He hang with me all the time. He got shot in his head in Baltimore for no reason. He don't sell drugs. He don't play with guns. He from Baltimore, and at some point in his life, I be telling him, get out of there, man. Come on. I took him on the road. His brother gets shot in his face a few times in front of his mom on the same block that he got killed. And I'm like, yeah, you definitely with me on the road. We go to his brother's funeral. I tell his mom, look her in the eyes, your son with me. Don't worry about him no more getting killed in the street. He with me. This is what we doing. We out. That stuff costs. This is like a real, he's 18, 19. I got to watch over him like a little brother. A bullet in his head. He ain't died. He lucky. I ain't letting nobody hurt this kid. You know what I'm saying? Ma'am, I'm saving a life. I'm providing jobs. I'm taking this dude to a whole nother place. This is not like a real stupid decision. I could have handled it a different way. We could always handle things a different way, but this was the case. I wasn't really in the wrong, man. 2 to 4 years, and then boom. Now this what we talking technical violations, where like young kids are growing up in houses without fathers because of mischief
and technical
stuff.
violations.
Like, yeah, like when I'm in jail now, my son got suspended from school. I'm like, my son in 1st grade. He been getting good grades. He preschool.
He's angry though because his dad's getting picked on, and now he's lashing out at school, and his behavior's acting up because his dad ain't there.
Yeah, and the statistics, the stats is like 80% of young kids go to jail if they father been in prison. 80% of them. Like if you black, brown, Spanish, you go to jail, you got an 80% chance of your son going to jail in the future.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's a real issue, and it's like, come on, man, you black, man. Like the 2-3 years.
Yeah, skin folk ain't kinfolk, brother. And you know, that's the program you was talking about, Plantation Talk. That's that real talk right there.
Yeah, self-hate. I was thinking about even naming my album Self-Hate, because don't think I got out now, I ain't going to talk about all the violence that's going on in the streets, because my family's still going through that. I'm still feeling that. I still, my little cousin.
And then you have generational hate too, right?
Yeah.
You have
what
the
you mean by
generational,
that?
meaning like older people don't like how younger people are doing things.
Yeah, that's
so then there's that.
And then you got the hate of people that may have went to school and wanted to be rich or make a lot of money or be famous, that
they never made it. Now they hate people. Yeah, exactly.
Did that make you feel, all these things on your mind, did it make you feel an extra way? I know, I mean, I've been going off on it, so has Ebro. We all have. You put up the post about R.I.P. the old Kanye. When you see conversations like that, does it take you to a different place because of what you've been thinking about in terms of self-hate? Yeah, kind of. I can't really. I see what he's trying to do, and I said this multiple times. Like, I don't want to make him look bad. I always believed in him. He's one of the greatest we ever had. I see what he trying to do, but what he doing, he not ready for what he talking. I don't even want to, like, the slavery conversation, I cut that off kind of short because I know there's more departments to it. I don't want to say offend anybody and say anything what you
wrong.
just said, though, is the basic premise of the conversation that Kanye never gets. Like, this conversation's got a lot of layers. Maybe it's not my zone.
For real. The choice, don't even use, like, I know how he said he was trying to say it, but I ain't have a choice if I had to grow up in the ghetto. I ain't have a choice. I'm 5 years old seeing people brains on the floor, seeing people get shot in the head. This is the world I came in. I ain't have a choice. I was born to PHA, public housing.
I think the old Kanye, and we're going to come back with more dialogue with Meek Mill, the old Kanye would have been more in touch with the sensitivities of that.
Yeah.
Is I think what people are trying to articulate. The new Kanye, which, you know, he and I had our back and forth about it, and I'm like, yo, work is happening. People are really trying to have conversation and dialogue and improve not only Chicago, but even your relationship with billionaires and how you're looking at things.
Yeah,
People
really use these platforms. And
but also really communicate and really open up dialogue. You're in Calabasas in a bubble, and you think that the whole world is just like your world, and you're just out of touch.
And instead of recording in Oregon or where you were, go to Chicago and record. Now you can
see it right there.
Get a bulletproof car. I got bulletproof cars and stuff like that. Get a bulletproof car and really see what's going on and really address what's really going on in Chicago if
you're about that life.
And like this goes for anybody. And we start this out with Chicago because I don't like that. All the young guys that rap that come from Chicago, I be like, man, get out of there, man. Like,
and a lot of them, like I talked to Dirk.
Yeah,
I talked to Dirk.
That's
I
one of
talked
my
to Bibby.
favorites.
I talked to G Herbo. Them dudes are doing work. And
Yeah,
they changing lives and they're good people, man. And
but they
work
come
hard.
from an environment where their friends are dying on a daily basis, so they have to be a certain way. And when it comes to Chicago, everybody talk. When it's time to go to Chicago and do a peace treaty concert and really sit down with, because there's some respected dudes out there where they can tone it down without you having to send the army there first. You know what I'm saying? It can be toned down, but nobody is addressing it.
And that's a real thing too, what you just pointed out. Kanye, you know, you put on the MAGA hat and you troll and you trying to open up dialogue, whatever your thing is, nobody don't like that. And the fact that the current president threatened to send the military into a zone,
and remember,
spend the money that way versus spending the money in a way that could generationally and culturally shift, which is actual mental health conversations, job creation.
Well, maybe the worst thing. Maybe the worst thing Kanye said.
No, I don't think Trump really understand. Like I'm on a plane with Robert Kraft, and I'm like, yo, people in there working for 8 cents an hour. He like, not in America. I'm like, is you crazy? This real life. He
in prison.
We going back and forth like on just a plane ride. And this was my conversation. I started this. No, 8 cents an hour in there. No, right now if I smoke marijuana, I get 5 years. Not in America. I'm like, yes, I will.
It's
different America.
And the next time he seen me, I was on a visit. That's why he came to see me, because the first time I met him, we had this type conversation, and he wanted to speak about it again. And it happened to be the narrative for the press or whatever. It was just I think Donald Trump, he is ignorant to what's going on in our cultures and with our families and the people. That's why I don't care about politics. I never cared about politics. Even with Cat, I can't wait to have a conversation about helping Cat get back in the organization, because I don't like that. I don't like he was separated from the NFL because he trying to stand for something. He's saying he's not standing to disrespect the veterans.
It's not about the flag. It's not about the anthem. It's not about none of that.
I respect our soldiers on all levels. I don't care about any song or any. I really work with veterans. I really do community service with veterans that people really put themselves on the line to help us live the way we live. But at the same time, that's not really my favorite topic to really talk. It don't concern me, because I'm dealing with a different type of soldiers dying in my neighborhood. I watch soldiers die every day. I watch soldiers go to prison every day. Good men that some of them do community work. Some of them are important to the community and do things that they go unheard of every day. And I spent time in jail watching the media. I'm like, it kind of make us not value ourselves when you see, just for instance, Stormy Daniels on the news for 45 days straight, and you like, damn, in my neighborhood, an old lady just got shot in her head, and a little girl just died, and her brother got killed in a home invasion, and this ain't even make the news.
You're talking about a porn star.
Yeah, we talking about somebody's dog got left on the airplane. Like, yo, what is going on?
That was a big story.
We talking about a gorilla that got shot, and I just know a 3-year-old kid that got shot 4 times with a .40 caliber. And this don't even make the news. And I believe it got to start with us, too, first. Yeah. But the way the media is laying it out, that, like, this is okay for it to happen to y'all. The 17 kids in school, I love the way they stood up for each other in school, like how they made it a big movement, like
the Parkland.
Yeah, the gun, the NRA thing. But in my neighborhood, you could get an AR faster than you could get a bag of chips. I swear to God, you could find an AR so fast on the street. Like, it's 12-year-old kids, 13-year-old kids running around with ARs. They don't make ARs in Philadelphia. That's not. Where do they make them?
They come from across state lines.
You know what I'm saying? But
illegally.
it started with them kids from that high school to stand up. To me, I seen 17 people get killed in 17 days in my neighborhood. I went to Strawberry Mansion. If you use Google, I seen somebody shoot the whole school up. 7, 8 students get shot. It wasn't as terrible as what happened in Florida. That was a terrible thing. But they ain't put that on the news the same way.
When a lot of people talked about that at the time, that these gun violence conversations in America, black people and brown neighborhoods, Spanish neighborhoods, whatever, been marching, National Night Out, gun violence awareness, anti-violence movements. All this been happening. But when it happened at a affluent school, right, in a suburb, and it happens to kids that aren't necessarily black and brown, then it becomes a national conversation.
Yeah, and I was in the jail cell watching when they sat down with the president. I ain't felt let down. I love what they was doing. That was a great thing, but I'm like, damn, all the people in our neighborhood, we'll never get the chance to sit down with the president really, like, and we lose. In my city, we get like, what, 300-400 murders a year, you know what I'm saying? And it is a group of people who want to address it, and it's a group of people who want to step up, but they don't want to step up in a community where you would get killed going against the wrong thing or saying the wrong things about, because the kid that got locked up, he got locked up the same day. In our neighborhoods, I know you could have 20 bodies and still be walking around like it's a regular day, and these people, they say, in the community, you got to tell on these guys. Who trying to tell on somebody that got 20 bodies? Right? Man, you crazy. You'll be number 21. You can't fault them people in them communities. You living next door to a monster. You grew up, you go to school, you're a straight A student. You live down the street from 3 monsters. You're going to have to transform at some point. You go from a good kid. Where do you go from playing PlayStation? I used to play Sega, Super Nintendo all day. My mom know, all day with my friends. My friend mom ended up selling a Sega Genesis. It was heartbreaking now. Now we 16, 17. Where I get a Glock 40 from with 30 shots? You know what I'm saying? And why do I feel like I have to carry a Glock to protect my life? I just was playing Sega 5 seconds ago. Right. This is not really in my heart. You know what I'm saying? It's the environment and situation. I can't depend on the cops. I can't depend on the cops saving my life. My dad was murdered. Nobody was arrested. I got hundreds of friends are murdered. That's not even a question of like somebody getting arrested for your friend. Like you living in warfare, and they don't address that in our world. And
well, because then if they address it, now you're cutting off that prison pipeline.
Yeah, of course.
Cutting off that money source.
I realized in a prison with 3,000 people, a guy could die that day in jail, an old person. You know, they got people in there 90 years old. They just still might die. By the time you wake up in the morning, there's gonna be a new person in that cell. Like I've been in 20 prisons probably, because they move you around a lot. I never seen a prison where it's like 7 open cells on a block.
It gets filled right away.
Right away. It's cut and dry. It's never.
It's a machine.
I never been on a block where, like, you've been to hotels where
there's empty rooms.
Yeah, it's empty
right. There's never an empty room for somehow.
No, and you think jails get more? They're more popular than hotels. Hotels probably get more people in and out the door than prisons.
You know, I know you had a lot to say. I know you've been doing a lot of interviews, but you've come up here and we've all grown together so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me too. Y'all been a part of my growth all the way.
Let me tell you one thing. Meek Mill, you know, when people are good to your family, it means more than anything else. And Meek Mill will always be my guy, because very early in Meek's career, my brother almost became Meek's lawyer.
Yeah.
And so they knew each other many years ago. I hadn't seen Meek. Meek did my birthday like 5 years ago. You hadn't seen my brother in years. And Meek walks in from the car, heading straight to the stage, getting rushed in. And I have it on camera because I was filming you walk in. Yeah. And he sees my brother who's just sitting in the cut. And Meek just lights up and he's like, "Hey, Nick." And for that, right in that moment, I was like, yo, that Meek's a good guy, man. Because a lot of people don't remember, let alone some person you didn't work with years earlier. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That was telling about the guy that you are.
Yeah, I treat, if you clean my house, I treat you like you was the person that you might have sold me this house. You know how you respect a rich person, somebody that got money, the owner, I'm renting or leasing a house, and the owner comes to the house and you want to be extra nice. It could be the maid cleaning the house.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because my brother actually would like to be your maid.
I treat the owner of the house. But still, I always was raised like that. You never know. I always was the brokest person in my squad, and now I'm the one you go to for a favor now. So right. You know what I mean? You know to treat people with a certain respect. That don't mean sometimes people overdo it and just, he changed. I did change. I definitely changed, and I move a certain way. I'm not gonna say the same, but I always treat people the same, man. Be good-hearted and
Have
get
you
good things.
would you ever entertain the idea of a Drake collaboration again?
It's possible. Everything is possible. I ain't got no hate towards them. I don't believe he got hate towards me. And when I was in a situation, I seen in the media, I was getting all media. He said free Meek Mill. That's when I'm at my down point where I don't really got anything going on with music. A lot of people could say, that was just a quote he want to attach to what's going on. I don't really care about that. Before we had a little rap issue,
Right.
I knew him as a person. Yeah, I knew him as a person, and he supported. And that goes for anybody. If it was somebody, it's guys in the street that we ain't like each other coming up and stuff like that over deeper stuff than a rap battle, and they was standing by me, and I appreciate it, and I would stand by them the same way if they had to be on their knees for a second.
Have you talked to Kanye West?
Yeah, I talked to Kanye West. When I had made that post, I just talked to him about 10 minutes before, and I wasn't really.
Oh, you would talk to him before you put up the post?
Yeah, like 10 minutes before, and I just told him like, you let me down in some of the words you were saying that I seen you saying, because I think I was in prison that day when it first started coming out when he was saying this. And in prison, you don't really entertain a lot of media stuff. You just look at it like, what they talking about, and keep it going. When I got out, social media, everybody talking about it all day, so I'm just doing my school. I'm like, what's going on now? Is this like a new marketing thing? I'm thinking he probably about to big Trump up, and when his album come out, he about to drop some bars on him like it's like a marketing plan. And when I talked to him, he still was talking the same thing. I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on right here. And I was like, nah, I don't really. I looked at you a certain way. I'm in a prison cell actually banging Kanye, and he's saying some things that's really touching me. Like I put it under the post where he was like, to whom much is given, much is tested, get arrested. I guess until you learn his lesson. What else? He said, what's this part? He said, I guess I should have forgot where I came from. I'm basically saying, like, yo, you looking like you forgot where you came from right now. Don't
can't tell me nothing, yeah?
Yeah, there's still people trapped that don't have a choice at all.
So how did you leave it with him? Did you just end it with like, all right, well, good luck?
He was like on the type of time, we need to work together. And I'm like, yeah, you need some help. Don't for real though, don't address this situation. Like even when I come out and speak on something, I learn how to talk a little better when I'm speaking on these situations I'm speaking on, because I just was in prison with like real scholars that studied why the way things are with people in our culture. Like these people got life in prison, and they dedicated their lives to trying to figure out why the system is the cycle the way it is. And I actually got taught in prison by like prisoners, you know what I'm saying? And
you took classes from prisoners and
no,
or
I
just hanging
actually
out?
built, and I built with lifers, you know what I'm saying? And people like, yo, he coming out like he coming as a new man. No, it's still, I ain't letting nobody treat me or do me like how they want to do me, but I got a different mind frame. I'm coming with people.
It's interesting too when you listen to your records, right? Like you go back and listen, like people say you come with a different mind frame. Your mind frame has always been about telling your story, the pains, the trials, the triumphs, and the losses. Protecting yourself, but also uplifting people and people achieving the higher heights.
Yeah, that's my brand.
That's
motivation.
always. So
that is your brand.
Are people thinking that your brand is just
because it's even like with like social media. A lot of people, even if I'm going through highs and lows, sometimes I look at stuff. A lot of these people are new fans. They don't even really know what I represent. Like if some people watch me, it might be somebody listening on Hot 97 right now going to work. They're not really in my world, and this is all they're hearing. And a lot of young people, like, you know, the kids, like if you're a fan of Lil Pump, you're a young kid. My son like Lil Pump, Lil Uzi. They might not understand my story. They might just see me on Instagram talking some wild, funny, hood, ignorant stuff, and they see me talking this now, so they're like, he's trying to just make a major change and not really be the person. Y'all don't see that? A lot of people like.
Are the people saying that to you?
Nah,
like, that's in your comments, bro. That's
who do you think he is now? Why is he the face for this?
I think on the opposite, we see people supporting the fact that you are using your platform.
I heard a lot of people tell me they're proud of me, and a lot of people support, but it's two sides to every story, and it's not that, basically. I'm just doing me. I'm doing what's real. It's not a marketing plan. Actually, I want to go to the studio. If I had a choice to do radio this week or go to the studio, 100% sure I would have went to the studio.
You feel obligated. You feel obligated to speak on behalf of people that have your situation.
I left real men in there. Like that I know was innocent of cases. They got 26 years and then they fighting for their life. In the longer than 5 months, we sat down talking about my case and their case, and I'm like, when I get out, man, I'm gonna try to make a change. I'm gonna bring this to,
you know, and the idea. Shout out to Ava DuVernay, who's been on the program, and we got put on her when she did that movie, The 13th. The documentary.
I love that. And like guys like Robert Kraft, man, watch The 13th. Watch this. Watch Mike. Like, these guys have never been introduced to things like this. Even with Rock Nation and Philly, the media, Rock Nation wants to use its power and resources to get Meek Mill out because they make money off Meek Mill. I'm like, yo, their bill is at like $4 million right now. I couldn't travel for 6 months. I didn't pay them out $4 million. Like,
right, you couldn't have made the money back.
The time Desiree is spending on my case, like OG Wine, like, yo, bro, my girl ain't gonna keep me and my wife ain't gonna be up past 2 o'clock working on your case. And I understand, but she was emotionally attached to the way.
You shouting Desiree with that, by the way. Shout out to Desiree.
Yeah, for real. I really appreciate her and got real love for her because she could have cut a check. She got a check cut, and that would have been that. They spent time on my freedom and still spending time on trying to come up with a way to help fix things. And
you mentioned
sorry, Laura, go ahead.
You mentioned a foundation.
Yeah.
So are you putting that together with Robert Kraft?
No, I'm not actually putting it together with Robert Kraft, but me and Mike are working on a foundation where I believe he will really be a part of it.
Okay.
You already stepped in the building, so let's
go
farther. Yeah, let's go far with it to the top floor.
One thing that I find fascinating is that Dreams and Nightmares has always been your brand.
Yeah.
And obviously the song Dreams and Nightmares intro, the greatest intro in rap history, that is such a part of you. And when you think about your last several years, bro, your life is dreams and nightmares.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever think about that? Do you ever stop and go, 6 months, a year ago, I was dating the hottest chick in the game. I was living the ultimate rap life, front row at every game, and then you're in a jail cell. You've had these ups and downs that are sort of unfathomable as a story.
I swear to God, on everything I love, when I was in prison this time, even like, it start being mental. You start thinking in your head like, yo, what is going on? Why I'm going through all this? At this point, I really felt like I was in a movie, like watching my mom cry on the news. One time she was like on the stage with like, Al Sharpton, and I'm like, yo, I really feel like I'm inside of my own movie, watching a movie of myself, watching the news and watching people protest outside. I was seeing like the little Instagram memes, like Meek Mill, like Mr. Clark in the cell, watching that movie when everybody stood up for him. I really felt like I was in the movie. And the first step, coming from the ghetto, making it, when you see me on Instagram, on an airplane, on a private plane with 10 of my friends, and we just woke up today like, oh, let's go to Miami, let's go party. Just that alone is like a movie.
That's a movie.
That's a dream to us.
Right.
And that's what I think a lot of kids see, like, yo, I see him on YouTube with the nappy braids, the 5X t-shirt on, and then years later as they grow up, they probably was 13. Now they 19, 18, 19, and they like, now we see him on a private plane with his friends. I rap about like being gangster, buying my mom a new house, or putting my nephew through college and stuff like that. It's actually happening, and they seeing it. So
yeah, but then your story's amazing because you're the kid with the braids on YouTube. Then you get the rap deal, MMG, all the money, everything,
and even the rap beef within itself.
That's what I'm saying. Then you have the most famous rap beef.
It was like big, like a lot of people, everybody counting me out.
Yep.
Actually, Drake is the biggest thing in music right now. That's a fact. He's the biggest artist in music right now. That ain't stopped me. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't stopped me. That was an accomplishment. That was a battle, not an accomplishment, but that was another hurdle that I jumped over. Even this situation with the injustices of the system. I'm not bitter that I came home, like I got locked up and that happened to me like for 11 years. I'm on the tip, like it really showcases how strong I am and what I can make it through. And a lot of letters I read, like it was one kid, he like, my chucks was falling apart. It was like a poem, but he wasn't a poem. He was like, every step I took, my chucks was falling apart. All I had was a cell phone. I was sleeping in subways, and he was like, I was watching on Instagram everything you went through, and you ain't show one sign of weakness, and that made me want to keep going. And now I started working. I got my car, and every letter, he's like, I got my car, apartment, and every letter I read had something to do with me inspiring somebody. So I was like, I really got to take on to that and really press to another level with the motivation and inspiring people. And this goes out to like judges or people, officials that think like, man, that's just a rapper. He raps about this, that, and the third. who cares? No, it's really a different story. It's really about when Allen Iverson come to my neighborhood in a Rolls Royce Phantom, and I never even seen a Rolls Royce in my life, and I see another black man in a Rolls Royce, and I'm like, oh, damn, I really could be somebody. I don't got to be like this drug dealer on the corner that goes back and forth in and out of prison, because it's cool seeing Allen Iverson on TV, but the moment I seen him ride through my neighborhood in a Rolls Royce, it changed my life, you know what I'm saying? And that's why some people look up to Jordan, because Jordan was the greatest basketball player. To me, it's like Allen Iverson, because he was the first person to really, he ain't actually touched me, but he touched me. I seen him in real life, and he made me believe, and I followed that. I tried to be that. I try right now to be that to the younger generation coming up, and I think I can.
You absolutely can. You are. We're watching it, and now you and Allen Iverson are both the two most famous Sixers fans in the world.
Yeah, I love Allen Iverson for real. He was like, he got braids, I got braids. He got them cut, I'm getting them cut. This is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Meek Mill, man, we waiting on that new project, bro.
Yeah, definitely. New flame on the way.
How soon you think? Music. Do we get music from Meek Mill?
I don't know how soon.
No pressure, no pressure.
I'm talking like, so picture me 10 years younger with some tats on my face. Taking a bunch of Xannies with the strap on my waist, pointing it at the camera like mama ain't teach me manners. Trying to see more bills like I'm headed to Alabama. No, wait, I don't judge them, I'm just trying to understand them, cause I used to pop perks, pour purple in my Fanta, had me swerving in my Phantom like I'm running from my dreams. I was headed to the slammer, I was planting all the seeds for them to bury me. I had my whole family mad at me, fell deep in love with the game and it married me. Judge said, just give me a chance. Judge said, I give you a chance. Just don't embarrass me. Motivating these young niggas is like a charity, community service, even though they knew it was working. They did this to me on purpose, cause I ain't moving too perfect. I'll stay away from them clowns. Watch how I move through the circus, cause they be weighing you down, even some of them dudes in your circle. There's gonna be a lot of that, a lot of schooling. There's gonna be a lot of It's gonna be a lot of Jews.
We ready.
In a cool way in my music this time around. Like I don't like the ice cream. You remember the ice cream freestyle?
The ice cream freestyle is classic.
It's gonna be a lot of that. It's gonna be different this time, but
for the record,
new flame on the way.
You've had a lot of jewels for a long time, by the way.
Yeah, of course. I'm
just so you know.
Even
we know.
People be saying that, I'm like, yo, let me take you to this song where I'm talking about 24. How could I ask for more? I was talking about being on them papers. They all said I'll be back for sure. I forgot how it goes.
Even Polos and Shell Tops and Tony Part 2 and Tony Story and all that.
It's like hip hop.
Yeah.
Yo, like I said, that Dreams and Nightmares intro.
Let's get it on.
It's an anthem for life, man. That's an anthem for life.
Young Black America was a jewel. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the video, you got young boys on the corner with the Ku Klux Klan mask on. You see a black person, he lift the mask. I'm talking to him. Yo, wake up, young boy. Y'all warring over the corner. The Chinese people own that corner. What y'all talking about? That's your corner store. We killing each other about. They own that. They sell chips here every day. You shot this boy because he showed a nick on your corner. Think bigger than that. And now I'm going to a level where I think I can explain that to young kids and connect to a different level. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm at 30, like some rappers be like, you old, the young boys in jail. Like, what? OG, who you talking to?
OG, that's crazy.
That's how they try to do your boy J. Cole. You like how J. Cole talking on this album?
I love what he talked on that record. He actually told the truth. Like, don't be that young boy on Love and Hip Hop 5 years later. And no disrespect to Love and Hip Hop, to people hustle, get your money however you could get it. But what he's saying is true. And
listen,
show
y'all,
some respect.
Give it up, Meek Mill. Meek Mill. Run that Dreams and Nightmares.